Hey guys, Gozier Plus back to more to your days. And I did say I was going to do my top 5 favorite draft picks in day 2, right? And I never lie about videos I'm about to make. Definitely not. Anyway, this is pretty similar. The only difference is a lot of these guys, I'm not really basing on exactly what pick I had on them and then where they fell. It's more just where they were picked, and why I think it's just not specific. It's more of a generalization than specific numbers to why I put them there. Because in my last video, I ranked them specifically on how many spots they fell for me. This time it's not like that. Um, Now there's only one team that will have a draft pick on both last video and this video. I think you should try to guess that in the comments below. You're probably gonna get it wrong. Anyway, let's begin. Number 5, I have Mike Green. I had him as a first round pick, but due to likely valid character concerns, he fell to the bottom of the second round. Now, I heard that it wasn't specifically because of what he did that he fell. It was also because of how he responded to it in his interview that made him fall. And I think that's reasonable. I mean, if you really think this dude's unstable or just not a good person, you're not going to pick him over defensive linemen or edge rushers of similar talent who you think are great characters. Of course, Falcons fans got mad that they did draft him, even though he ended up falling, 40 spots after the Falcons pick. So, I mean, clearly not a lot of teams wanted him. I heard that teams had him off their board, kind of like Shadur Sanders, where they had this man not just below a lot of players. They wouldn't draft him. Their season wouldn't draft Mike Green because of his concerns. So it's not surprising to see that only a specific team got him in late second round. I'm assuming a lot of teams that care about character a ton ended up just rejecting any thought of drafting Mike Green, which led to him falling out of the first round and nearly out of the second round. Now, even though I don't really know if I want him as a player on my team, I can't deny the talent that Mike Green has. 17 sacks is insane no matter what team you played on, and Marshall is definitely not an FCS school. They're still in the FBS, and 17 sacks is still a lot because Marshall clearly did not play 17 games. That's more than a sack a game. And then, of course, you saw what he did to Josh Connerly. He literally put that man on his butt. And he's not even a power rusher. Of course, he has strength, but what we saw him do is pretty crazy. And even though I don't really like him based on what I've heard, I can't deny that this is a pretty good pick for the Ravens talent-wise. We're on to number 4, which is Jarrett Wilson. I had Wilson go mid-second round, but Senators aren't that sought after, and he fell to the third round. I think this is a really good pick for the Patriots. Their offensive line is still really bad, and even though you might want tackle, you already got Will Campbell. So, you just really improved your offensive line for Drake May. I think they got some receivers, too, so this offense should be decently improved from last season. Jerry Wilson was really good for Georgia. He allowed, one sack his whole career, which I know he's a center, but one sack is still really good. There's some really dominant pass rushers in the SEC that play defensive tackle. And it's good that he only got one sack in his entire career. I think this is really good, because 95 is, late third round. There's 102 picks after the third round, total after the third round's ended because of the compensatory picks. So this is, one of the last 10 picks. You got Jarrett Wilson nearly on day 3 of the draft. The Patriots are one of the teams who I see draft a lot of players from Georgia, or more than others. I'd say the teams who draft the most Georgia players, I'd say Eagles, Rams, Lions, Patriots, Packers. As if I had to choose some. The Packers drafted an offensive lineman from Georgia not too far back. I think they drafted Isaiah Wilson and then another guy. So it's not surprising that offensive lineman from Georgia went here. But for a guy who I thought was going to be one of the first 3 or 4 centers picked, having him selected nearly 4th round is pretty good value. We're on to number 3, and here is the second team, the only team, to have a player in both my first and second video. Call this bias, but it's not. Because in the first video, I had Walker go 6 spots higher than he actually went. And this one, I had Xavier Watts going late second, and he goes late third. So that's a pretty big drop, too. It's just a fact that the two players I had being drafted that went to the Falcons ended up falling very far down their boards. I had Watts going later in the second round, but I have higher. So seeing him almost fall out of day two was surprising. Because even though safety isn't that big of a position, there was actually only like 4 picked before Xavier Watts. I think the Saints picked one that I didn't know. Kevin Winston was picked before him. Malachi Starks and Nick Ebenworry. But Watts led the FBS in interceptions in the last 2 seasons. The guy behind him was also drafted by the Falcons, by the way. I like Xavier Watts. I love ball hawk safeties. I feel like if you're not either a hard hitting safety or a ball hawk safety, your ceiling is immediately lowered. If you're not either like a Jamal Adams or like a Jesse Bates. I mean, of course, there's going to be safeties who can't do either of those especially well, but can do both of them decently well. Like a Justin Simmons. He's a good interceptor, but he doesn't feel like a ball hawk. He's just usually in the right spot. And that's kind of what Xavier Watts is. Jesse Bates is probably a better athlete than Xavier Watts, but they both find ways to get to the football. And Xavier Watts isn't a bad tackler either. He's also good at forcing the football out. He's just a great player, honestly. We saw the Falcons target a lot of big colleges for their picks. The smallest college that they picked a player from was Wisconsin. They didn't play around. But yeah, I'm definitely going to I'm going to make a video about the Falcons draft class and their undrafted free agents. It's going to be a lot because the Falcons did some crazy things. But yeah, I'm giving this number 3 because I think even if it's safety, just getting someone who had the most interceptions in the last 2 seasons, late third round is really good value. So it made trading down in the trading away your second round pick didn't feel like anything because Watts wouldn't have even been a bad pick there. We're on to number 2, Will Johnson. You knew he was going to be here. I had Will Johnson go mid-first round. I know he has major injury concerns, but I think the Cardinals still got a steal here. I had him get drafted by the Bengals at pick 17. So 1 pick after the Cardinals in the first round. Of course, he doesn't get picked by them at all, and then I have him go... What did I have him go in the second round? I can actually go check that. Because I made my second round mock draft after he wasn't selected, and I had him picked by the Titans, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Well, you're not going to be able to because I already confirmed myself. Yes, I did have him go to Tennessee with the 35th pick. This is a good pick for the Cardinals. The reason that this isn't as big as a fall, because this is only like a half of a round of a fall. Wait, no, this is like mid-third round, so it's basically nearly a whole round, but just a little bit less than that, while the other ones are all pretty much at least a round. The reason Will Johnson is here because he might be just the plain best player of everyone on this list, including the people who I'm about to talk about later. Will Johnson might be the best cornerback in the draft, and I think there's actually a high chance that he is the best corner in the draft. The first corner was Jay Barron, who's more of a nickel guy. Then you have, who's the second corner picked? Maxwell Hairston, who, he's good, but he was thought to be a bit of a reach. Will Johnson is likely the best corner in this draft. And this is the first time this is the most common I've ever been that a player's the best in their position. And then also, I'm talking about them falling all the way to the second round. It's insane. I know he has injury concerns, but just, especially in the second round, is a great pick because you get to take more risk. There's a good chance that this second round pick wouldn't have been a major player for the Cardinals anyway, but now you get to bank it on a player who you know is elite. You just have to hope that he stays healthy. There's pretty much a low risk, high reward for drafting Will Johnson here in the second round. Gotta love what the Cardinals did here. They had one of the best draft classes by far. And my honorable mention this time is Jalen Milroe. Last time it was Travis Hunter because he didn't really fall. This time it's Jalen Milroe because his ceiling is high enough to be an honorable mention. I had him going early second round, and the fact that Tyler Shuck was drafted above him was crazy. Tyler Shuck looks terrible. And it's not even just because of his combine. He just doesn't do anything that makes me think, oh yeah, this dude can become a great quarterback. Maybe he could become all right. His ceiling is lower than like almost every quarterback that was drafted after him. Well, not really. I wouldn't say that because like the 6th and 7th round QBs didn't really have anything going for them either. But like his ceiling's lower than Milrose and lower than Sanders in my opinion. And hey, he might be lower than what's his name? Who's the guy? Who's the other guy picked? Dylan Gabriel. Like his ceiling might be lower than all those guys. But I think this is a great pick by the Seahawks because late in the 3rd round, just pick the QB with the high ceiling remaining, and it was Jalen Milroe. Just bring him in. He's not going to play this year. You don't got your receiver core yet, but this is what the Seahawks are clearly rebuilding. Just see what Milroe can do in practice. Even if he does really well, you probably don't want to play him right now anyway. You still want Sam Darnold to play. Just see what you can get out of him in these next few years. If not, he's gone. Like, it really doesn't matter. I like picks that have low risk, high reward. Just like the Will Johnson pick. This pick has low risk because who cares if he doesn't pan out? This is kind of like Desmond Ridder for the Falcons. Who cares? Even I think Miller's going to has a double the ceiling that Ridder has. Maybe a lower floor, but not by much. He's just more athletic. So probably would take Miller off floor too. There's just not much that can make this pick go wrong because it's a late 3rd round pick used on a pretty decent prospect. Good. The Seahawks are also a team that did good in the draft. Honestly, if you look back, all these teams I'm looking at did really well in the draft overall. Probably the worst draft here's the Patriots, and that's hard to say. They're all really close. But we are going to move on to number 1, Shavon Revel. I've heard people say the Cowboys have had the best draft. Despite they were questioning Tyler Booker, but Shavon Revel out of ECU, I had to represent ECU Dynasty somehow. Go check it out on my other channel, Cody Jr. I had Shavon Revel going in the late 1st, and he somehow fell to the middle of the 3rd. He and Will Johnson both have potential to be CB1. I can't believe he fell so far. I said this wasn't about numbers, so just because I had him going late 1st and he went mid-3rd doesn't mean he fell the farthest, which means he's number 1. I didn't put him here because of the big fall. I just think it's just value, right? I think he could be CV1. Just like Miller could technically be QB1, but I don't think he's as likely as Shavon Revel to be CB1. I think Mike Green could be Edge 1, but I think Revel has a higher chance of being the best at his position than any of these players except for Will Johnson, who was drafted way earlier than Revel, has a chance of being their best at their position. Shavon Revel is an amazing player, and I'm not just saying this because I played with him in ECU Dynasty. Bengal likes him a lot too. He was mad that the Cowboys got him. I'm mad that the Cowboys got him. The Cowboys got some really good picks in day 2. All right. Shavon Revel, of course, another player that is missing out on a higher pick because of injury, which gives the Cowboys a chance to take a chance on him. Because just like the Cardinals, but even bigger this time, if you pick him now, if he isn't good and he keeps getting injured, it doesn't matter. You spent a later pick on him. You didn't use your first pick on him. If he's great, you just got to steal the draft again. Because the Cowboys got number 26, I can't remember his name, the guy who got all those picks, and he also got Trayvon Diggs. If they do this again with Shavon Revel, I'm going to be done with the NFC East, honestly. I'm just going to be done with them, all right? The only team I respect there is the Giants because we can beat them. Anyway, this is an amazing pick. It's like the same Will Johnson situation, except pick 76 instead of 47, which is why I'm putting it at number 1 here. Now, you could say it's ECU Dynasty bias, but I only played with him one season. I don't like him that much because of a video game, all right? I think this is completely valid, and I've heard a lot of other people happy about this Shavon Revel pick too. But that is it for this ranking. I've made a lot of videos recently. I've recorded videos like 3 days in a row, 4 days in a row now. But I think it's good to get videos out on the draft because I'm trying to actually become a real, not NFL scout specifically, but a guy who knows really what they're talking about. And I think I've learned a lot, especially since 2020 when I was talking about us drafting Justin Fields instead of Kyle Pitts. I've come a long way from that. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I still got more videos coming, by the way. It's not over yet. See you guys next time.